Before I get on to the presentation, अलिकति सानो introduction जस्तो है अनि हामीले यो किन गरिरहेको भन्ने बारे तपाईले अलिकति सुन्नुभयो होला अघि इनोग्रेसनमा हैन सो मेरो नाम चाहिँ दोर्जे गुरुङ I used to be a science teacher म बाहिर साइन्स टिचिङ गर्थे कहिले कुन देशमा पढाइयो 9 वटा देशहरुमा झन्डै 15 वर्षसम्म 15 वर्ष भन्दा बढी पढाइयो अनि त्यो पढाउने सकाएर I came back 2013 मा अनि अहिले सोशल वर्क गर्दैछु बट पढाउने सम्बन्धीमा अलिकति लाग्न मन लाएर I wanted to go back into teaching well do something about teaching त्यही भएर पनि अहिले यो साइन्स टिचर ट्रेनिङमा लागिरहेको अनि यो साइन्स टिचर ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ बुक बस को थ्रुबाट बुक बससँग कोल्याबोरेट गरेर गर्ने प्लान बनाएको छौं अब जुन अहिले मैले यो प्रेजेन्टेसन गर्दै छौं त्यो चाहिँ इट्स जस्ट अ one of the number of activities that I have put together in my science teacher training module right there's a number of different activities this is just one of them to give you a taste for a sense for what it is that I'm trying to do right shall we गरौँ न है हाम्रो यहाँ science teaching and also in general teaching चाहिँ कस्तो खालको हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि it's mainly to impart basic skills recall अनि understanding those are only two really mostly the skills that are taught in schools in classes in Nepal but what needs to be taught for children to be equipped when they become adults equipped to handle to live to deal with the 21st century are high level thinking skills high level thinking skills haru impart गर्न सक्यो भने then they will be prepared to actually face the challenges challenges of the modern world what I mean by high level thinking skills is अब अघि मैले recall and understanding the भनिहाल्यो high level thinkings are त्यसपछि there's another skill which is called application of knowledge which is slightly higher than understanding but higher than those are analyzing analysis evaluating synthesizing and then creating those four are what are called higher level thinking skills and those are the skills that need to be taught to our students but यहाँ पढाइदैन घोकन्ते विद्या छ हैन धेरै जसो म्याक्सिमम साइन्समा त्यस्तो स्किल्सहरु इम्पार्ट गर्नलाई I use what are called open-ended problems I've challenged students with open-ended problems and open-ended problems are problems which don't have a one fixed right answer they have multiple answers that are correct okay and in trying to find the solution the answer to these open-ended problems they engage in activities they engage in processes which impart and reinforce the higher level thinking skills analyzing evaluating synthesizing and creating okay so what you will do with me here is engage in one activity where you will generate your open-ended question and also tentative answers right you'll formulate questions and then develop tentative answers for those and if you were my class the next time you come in you would then design investigations to actually confirm whether your tentative answers what in science is called hypotheses is correct right? And if it's not, of course, you go back to the original. Anyway, once you design your investigation, you perform the investigation, perform the experiment, carry out the investigation, and then collect data, and then analyze that data to see if indeed your hypothesis is correct. Analyze and draw a conclusion to see, right? And if you engage in this activity, in this sequence of activities, again and again and again and again, then you learn how to analyze, you learn how to evaluate, you learn how to synthesize, how to put, synthesis means putting together different ideas to come up with an explanation. Creating, the final one is creating, where you actually come up with a new idea, right? So, we'll engage in one, right? I mean, subway. I've set up stations, Torah stations. So, it's probably best if we worked in only threes, groups of threes, right? So, basically, एउटा टेबलमा तीनजना हैन अनि एकजनाको चाहिँ एउटा लेख्ने नोटबुक जस्तो केही न केही हुनुपर्छ and that person will be the speaker for the group हैन what he'll or she will have to do is at the end of the investigation come up and write down the questions that you've come up with हैन the experiment. So I will actually demonstrate the experiment अहिले so that you see what to expect, so that you have an idea for what to expect when you actually perform the experiment. It's simple. It's very easy. I'm using a different setup than you because तपाईहरुलाई देख्नलाई सजिलो होस् भनेर यो सेटअपले चाहिँ what you see यो सेटअपमा चाहिँ अलिकति ड्रामेटिकै हुन्छ तपाईहरुको भन्दा पनि and that's partly why I'm using what I'm using, you know. So it's easy. तपाईकोमा क्यान्डल छ slightly different मेरो जस्तो हैन तपाईहरुको यो तपाईको यो चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सपेरिमेन्ट गर्नुभन्दा अगाडि बालेर एकछिन बल्न दिनुपर्छ है so all you do is अब यो सिक्वेन्स चाहिँ अलिकति फरक हुन्छ तपाईहरुको चाहिँ तपाईहरुकोमा चाहिँ पहिला अलिकति पानी हाल्नुपर्छ बोलमा हैन मेरो चाहिँ यो पहिला नै त्यहाँ राख्नुपर्ने भएकोले पहिले राखेको अलिकति पानी हाल्नुस् तपाईको क्यान्डल लाइट गर्नुस् हैन लाइट द क्यान्डल अनि तपाईको अघि मैले भने जस्तै क्यान्डल लाइट गरेर एकछिन बल्न दिनुस् है अलिकति राम्रोसँग बल्न दिनुस् अनि लाइट गरिसकेपछि एकछिनसम्म अलिकति राम्रोसँग बलिसकेपछि तपाईकोमा चाहिँ कनिको फ्ल्यास नभइकन ग्लास छ हैन टेक दैट ग्लास माथिबाट हाल्दिनुस् अनि तपाईले देख्नुहुन्छ के देख्नुहुन्छ what you see what you observe you need to record है त तपाईको स्पिकर जो छ नि उहाँले रेकर्ड गर्नुहुन्छ देखिहाल्नु भयो नि हैन you have some idea of what to expect so तपाईले रेकर्ड गर्नुपर्ने observationsहरु तपाईले जे देख्नुहुन्छ नि अब observations भन्नाले generally it's not just what you see what you can also hear what you can also taste what you can also feel हैन observations are that which you glean through your senses all your four senses generally but in a science lab you're not supposed to taste anything right so you don't taste and in a science lab generally with this particular experiment you don't have to feel you don't have to touch and feel and see what it feels like त्यो चाहिँ गर्नु पर्दैन so focus on what you can see what you see and what you hear so record all of those all of them that's number 1 त्यो भइहाल्यो right अनि त्यसपछि after you have your observations you're going to formulate questions about those observations right why did da 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 happen for example हैन? As many questions as you can, not just one. As many questions. If you can come up with a question for every single observation, that's even better. And then, next, tentative answers. Your best guess for why. What you saw, I know. An answer to the question that you have based on your knowledge of science. Okay? And once you're done with that, we'll come together and share your questions with the rest of the class. We'll put it up on the board. Right? Any questions about what you have to do? केही प्रश्न के गर्ने भनेर छैन हैन? त्यो गर्नलाई म तपाईलाई 15 minutes दिन्छु. And it's plenty. तपाईहरुको कतिवटा क्वेशन चाहिँ?
Just 9, 10.
Excellent. 9, 10. कतिवटा भयो तपाईहरुको? 4. Okay. तपाईहरुको कति भयो? 5. Okay. कतिवटा क्वेशन्स भयो तपाईहरुको? 9. Okay. Good. Good. अब के गर्यो भने उहाँहरुको क्वेशन्स राख्नुहुन्छ अनि तपाईहरुको क्वेशन्स र उहाँहरुको क्वेशन्स कम्पेयर गर्नुस् अनि जुन क्वेशन्स तपाईहरुकोमा छ तर त्यहाँ छैन नि त्यो चाहिँ गएर तपाईले एड गर्ने है so that we have all of the distinct unique questions up on the board है अनि त्यसपछि we'll go on to the next step next stage. Right. यसो गर्नुस् न तपाईले पढाएर सुनाइदिनुस् न अनि the rest of you त्यहाँ नभएको क्वेशन्स कुन छ तपाईसँग त्यो आइडेन्टिफाई गर्नुस् अनि तपाईको दुई जना मध्ये जो चाहिँ जसले चाहिँ लेख्नु भएको छ नि उहाँ चाहिँ माथि गएर त्यो एड गर्नुस् है ल एकचोटी पढेर सुनाइदिनुस् न.
Question number 1. Why was candle burning brightly at the beginning?
अहिले आन्सर नगर्नुस् टेन्टेटिभ आन्सर चाहिँ पछि कुरा गरौँला अहिले चाहिँ we'll just collect all the questions.
Why did the candle extinguish at the end? For what purpose water entered inside the glass? Why the level of water increased?
त्यो level of water increased in the glass होला हैन त्यो अलिकति स्पेसिफाई गरिदिनुस्.
What would have happened if a hole was left on the glass? Which gas is being collected inside the glass? What does the experiment?
Okay. ल यहाँ नभएको क्वेशन्सहरु कुन छ अब ल 5. What would have happened if a hole was made on the glass? Okay. यो कुराहरुको चाहिँ यो क्वेशन्सहरुको चाहिँ कुरा एकछिनमा गरौँला. पहिला चाहिँ क्वेशन्सहरु कलेक्ट गरौँ है. यो इन्डिभिजुअल क्वेशन्सहरुको बारे चाहिँ एकछिनमा कुरा गरौँला. तपाईको ग्रुप अब यहाँ नभएको क्वेशन्स तपाई बस्नुस्. Do you have any questions that don't appear here? Oh, ल आउनुस्. हजुर त्यही लेख्नुस्. 7, 8. अनि अर्को ग्रुप तपाईहरुको छ कुनै क्वेशन तपाईहरुको नोट्समा माथि न सबै त्यहाँ आइसक्यो. हजुर
But there are two things that is based on observation. There is melting of wax and burning of thread of the wax. There are the two observations we have made here. But we have not made the exact question of that.
ए तर क्वेशनकै कुरा आयो अहिले हैन.
They are the observation we have.
हजुर observations there are no questions. ए खाली क्वेसन्सकै कुरा गरौँ अहिले होइन तपाईँ त्यसो भए छैन त्यहाँ नभएको क्वेसन्सहरू छैन एउटा र आउनुहोस् Where is the air pressure? Okay. अनि तपाईहरुको We'll now go on to talk about your tentative explanations, right? And we'll discuss them, but those tentative explanations obviously might be right, might be wrong, I know. So we're not going to judge them, but we'll talk about them. Because really, what I would do is to ask the students to investigate, actually devise an investigation to actually test whether that explanation is indeed true or not. Whether they can confirm that explanation to be the explanation. Okay, so why was candle burning brightly at the beginning? What was the explanation? तपाईहरुको के थियो त्यसको answer? फेरि राम्रोसँग सुने
The presence of atmospheric oxygen.
Because of presence of atmospheric oxygen, okay? Because which supports combustion. Okay. Anyone have anything to add or object to that? Tiny, okay. Why did the candle extinguish at the end? Lack of oxygen. Okay. Does lack of oxygen cause something burning to burn out? Always?
Double roll of oxygen.
Double roll?
It helps to burn the flame and also helps to extinguish the
Okay. Is it only lack of oxygen that might cause something burning to burn out? What was that?
carbon dioxide.
Sorry, you didn't give me a whole sentence. My question was, is it always just the lack of oxygen that causes something burning to extinguish?
Presence of carbon dioxide.
Yeah, sometimes it may be not lack of oxygen, but presence of carbon dioxide. Could be. What else? What other reasons could there be for something to burn out? Okay, we're still sticking to the candle. My question is in general now. Is it always lack of oxygen that causes something burning to burn out? We decided no, it's not. Sometimes it is the presence of carbon dioxide that might cause something to burn out. What else could cause something burning to burn out? Lack of fuel. Whatever is burning, if there is none left to continue burning, doesn't matter if there's oxygen, right? So that's besides this. Okay, I'm just trying to get you to think. All right. So 3. For what purpose water entered inside the glass?
To occupy the space of oxygen.
Okay. The explanation is to occupy. Okay. All right. It's a little awkward because material things don't have any purpose. What happens to material things is not because they've got a mind and they have a purpose and point, right? So the wording is a little awkward. In science, you wouldn't ascribe purpose to material things behaving a certain way, okay? 4, why the level of increase inside the glass?
To occupy the net volume of oxygen that is present inside the glass.
Okay. So to occupy the net volume of oxygen that was before it was, okay, before the candle burned out.
Oxygen is converted into carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is converted into oxygen.
Uh-huh.
Whenever carbon dioxide goes to the component of water, then after when mix up the volume of water and oxygen, that's why it increase the level.
So he's got something else. He's got something else to say about that. So you are saying it went up because, but you are saying,
Oxygen converted into carbon dioxide.
hmm
Carbon dioxide is soluble in water.
uh-huh,
The level.
uh-huh. That's why the level rose up.
Instead, the atmospheric pressure.
Uh-huh. Oh, so it's now the atmospheric pressure.
Also
Go on. What about the atmospheric pressure?
from outside, that's why the water level increased.
Okay. So it's not that water wants to occupy space, but water is forced by
Here.
atmospheric pressure. So which one is it? So you don't think there are little creatures in these water that want to go up and occupy space that has been created, vacuum that has been created by the consumption of oxygen? These little creatures in the water, they don't want to. You mean they're not like thinking, oh, oxygen has been used up. There's been vacuum that's created. Let's rush in. No, that doesn't happen.
The glass maybe acts as a suction for a while. Just if vacuum
Okay.
suction एकदम answer त्यो पनि maybe concept.
So you mean like there's यहाँ माथि चाहिँ
Vacuum create भयो.
so the vacuum is actually sucking water up?
Capillary reaction, water entered inside.
Similar thing as
Okay, all right. So let's say, okay, so the other explanation is vacuum that's created
As a result, the capillary reaction.
because how was the vacuum created? Why was the vacuum created?
by removing the ion or gas or
Oxygen.
Oxygen removal oxygen created a vacuum, and then that vacuum sucked water up. Like someone, like I can pick something up, that vacuum picked water up. Is that what happened? I don't see any hands.
Normally due to atmospheric pressure.
No? Okay, all right. But he says there's carbon dioxide being produced.
Chemical reaction occurs.
How would there be vacuum if one gas is used up, but then another gas is produced? Oh, so carbon dioxide is soluble, so therefore whatever carbon dioxide is produced is removed anyway. Oh, okay. It dissolves in the water, so it gets removed anyway.
And the vacuum create and water level.
Air pressure inside the glass and outside is different.
Okay, now we're talking about pressure. Okay, good.
Yeah. And the external pressure is higher,
Mm-hmm.
and the level of water depressed down due to the air pressure.
Uh-huh.
That's why the level of water increased inside the.
So why didn't it go all the way to the top?
Due to the less pressure inside there.
Yeah, but if there is less pressure, why didn't the water go all the way up to the top?
Because vacuum increase is there.
Mm-hmm.
Here did the pressure. So where is the
Why did it stop here?
That's at that point the air pressure become cold.
Okay. Okay, all right. So you're saying at this point, the air pressure inside is equal to the air pressure outside.
this point maybe the point of equilibrium.
Okay, so, in other words, this is a point of equilibrium. Okay, all right. What would happen if a hole was made on the glass?
It would burn continuously
It would burn continuously. Why?
due to presence of oxygen
Due to the presence of oxygen. But there is oxygen.
and entered from the hole and it burned continuously.
Okay, so the oxygen that's being used up is being replaced, right? All the time. And so therefore it would keep burning. Okay, makes sense.
And that the water level also for the first time.
Okay, makes sense. All right, fair enough. But didn't someone say if there is carbon dioxide, sometimes things don't burn? If there is carbon dioxide, didn't someone say that something might not burn if there's too much carbon dioxide? Someone said that, I don't know who. But maybe carbon dioxide all dissolves in water as soon as it's produced. So the candle will just keep burning. Yes, and it forms H2CO3 in the water. But you're telling me that the carbon dioxide gets removed as fast as it's being produced, so therefore the candle, water will not rise at all, and the candle will just keep burning all the time. Is that true? Could that be true? You think so? Do you know for a fact that carbon dioxide, as soon as it's produced, it dissolves in water? Do you? No, you don't. No, you don't. Carbon dioxide, as soon as it's being produced, all of them, doesn't dissolve immediately. If that doesn't happen, will the candle, if there's a hole up here, will the candle keep burning all the time?
Not all
You
time,
think so?
not all time, but a bit longer time.
Longer time? Until what? Until what time?
Until the fuel is finished, the candle is.
Okay, until the candle is finished, or?
Wind blows it out.
No, there's no wind because it's inside. All right, think about it. We'll go on to the next one. Until either the candle burns out or, think about it, okay? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to ask you another question. And then, so that is interesting, right? What else what other changes or modification can you think of which might make you question the process again? Any other changes, modifications which might interest you?
By removing the liquid.
Removing the liquid.
By not replacing the liquid.
Replacing the liquid.
Yes.
Like what?
Like kerosene.
Okay. So how would you, what kind of question would you ask?
Okay, so I would prefer that is there same kind of thing or that obviously will be done?
So you mean to say that if water is replaced by some other liquid, what would happen?
Okay. Is it just what would happen, or do you have a specific, give me a specific question, not what would happen.
Level of the liquid rise up or does the level of liquid rise up or not?
Okay. If we replace water with some other liquid, will it still go inside, rise up into the conical flash? So that's one. And then the other one is, will it rise up to the same level? Or will it rise higher up, or maybe not as high? That could be interesting. Any other thing, any other slight modification which might prompt questions that you'd be interested in?
But if we use the size of the glass that we used, bigger than that.
If we change the conical flask, if we change the size of the glass, what kind of questions would you be interested in?
So one thing is that the level of water should
Okay, level of water.
increase or decrease, and does the flame burn a longer time or so?
How long does the flame, will it burn for the same length or longer or shorter and so on? And there are a host of other things you can do, right? All right. Which gas is being collected inside the glass? Carbon dioxide. Now, let me go back to the question again. Carbon dioxide. will all of the carbon dioxide that's produced be dissolved? Will it dissolve in the water as soon as it's being produced? Does anyone know? Any ideas? Maybe not. Okay, maybe not. In which case, if we have a hole at the top, if we have a sufficiently tall candle, right? Will the candle burn until it is all burnt up? Or will it extinguish before it is all burnt up?
Not extinguished. It will not extinguish. It will burn out the things.
You think so? Okay. Now, okay, I'll get back to that. So, all of these, the rest of them, right? You realize that there are explanations that you're not entirely sure about. Some of you are sure about some of the answers, some of the explanations, because you know some of the theories, right? For example, this one. Why did it get extinguished? What was the answer? What was the explanation?
Lack of oxygen.
Lack of oxygen. Okay, all right. Did you see oxygen being burnt?
Supports burning.
But did you see? Did you see? Hold on. My question is different. Did you see oxygen being burnt? No. In other words, you don't have primary information, right? You don't have primary data. What you have is some understanding of what air is, some knowledge about air, which says that there's oxygen in the air, right? You didn't see oxygen burning, did you? Right? But you know, you've been taught. This has been drilled into you. In the air, there's oxygen, right? And oxygen supports combustion. But have you found, can you show me, can you prove to me that that is indeed the case? Because that is what you were saying. There's oxygen in the air. I don't see oxygen. None of you have seen oxygen. You're just accepting that knowledge. Now, my challenge then would be for my students to prove to me indeed, design an investigation to prove to me indeed that the candle burnt out because it used up all of the oxygen inside. So, you would have to design an investigation that shows, firstly, that oxygen is used, and it is indeed oxygen. And you have to collect data, you have to have results to show that indeed it is oxygen that is used up, and not some other gas. Now that would be an investigation that I would ask you to design.
Test for oxygen. And test for
However you do it. And this is what open-ended questions are. Right? Do I know exactly how to prove this? I have some ideas because I'm a teacher. But do I know what my students are going to come up with? Will they be able to prove that? Maybe some will. Maybe some won't. But that's besides the point. What is the point? What would be the point in my making those students, in my making you design this investigation? What would be the point?
Able to do or not be able to do or not that particular.
No, that's not even the point. They might not. They might not prove. They might fail miserably in proving it. But in doing it, what would the students be doing, engaging in when they design the experiment, conduct the experiment, collect data, analyze the data, and then draw conclusions.
Creative activities.
I would be engaging the kids in activities that promote, that impart, that foster higher level thinking skills. In other words, critical thinking. They might fail miserably in proving, but that's besides the point. Unlike in Nepal, teaching involves also getting students to do things that the teacher doesn't even know the answer to. Getting the kids to do things that they will fail in. Getting the kids to do things for which there's no right answer. Okay? And that can happen in science when you get students to tackle open-ended questions like these. All right? Does that make sense? I think the बुझ्नु भयो होला नि हैन अब अरु पनि हेर्ने हो भने हैन What if a coin is placed on the bottom of water level? त्यो कसो question? मैले त्यो अलिकति राम्रोसँग बुझेन in the context of this. I'm not sure. Okay. Would something inside, under the glass, would it also be sucked up, Paniko? Okay. All right. I'd never thought of that, but see, this is the thing. As a teacher, when you allow students the freedom to see, to record, to observe, and then question, they come up with things that you don't expect as a teacher. And in allowing the students that freedom, you allow the students to be considerably more free and imaginative. And, in the process, creative as well. Instead of putting them in a box, forcing them to think a certain way, forcing them to do only certain things. Okay? And there are times when a teacher who wants to impart critical thinking skills, when a teacher gets students to engage in those kinds of activities, they will have questions that the teacher does not know the answer to. But in the process, what happens is the teacher also learns. I have learned from my students. My students have taught me. And there have been times when I've said, I don't know, to a question that a student has asked. And I've said, why don't you find out, and then tomorrow, share with the class. And when a student learns, when a student finds out that the teacher doesn't know one thing, doesn't know the answer to something, and they are able to go and find the answer and share it with the class, that is an incredibly empowering moment for the student. He doesn't lose respect for the teacher, right? And the reason it is so is because, and the reason teachers should also say, I don't know, is because what we are supposed to be doing is not always providing the right answer. We don't always need to have the right answer. We don't always need to know everything that we're supposed to know. As long as we provide, as long as we are able to point them in the right direction and help them learn and basically master the skills, then we're doing our job. Okay? Oh, right. Time and lie. Okay. That's pretty much it of what I wanted to say. I'm going to actually jump to something to end this session. The best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. And I hope I've managed to do a little bit of that with you. अनि तपाईहरुलाई इन्ट्रेस्ट छ भने मेरो पर्सनल ब्लग यसमा छ तर पर्सनल ब्लगमा मेरो साइन्स ब्लगको लिंक पनि छ साइन्स ब्लगमा चाहिँ टन्नै छ मेरो मैले स्टुडेन्ट्सहरुसँग गरेको एक्टिभिटीज यो जस्तै को भिडियोहरु टन्नै छ एक्टिभिटीज टन्नै छ तपाईलाई तपाईले लिनु भयो है तपाईले नि दिनु तपाईलाई मैले दिए कि दिएन है अनि बुक बस सँग हाम्रो टिचर ट्रेनिङ मोड्युल्सहरु गर्छौं बुक बक्सको थ्रुबाट साइन्सको पनि हुन्छ इन्ट्रेस्ट यहाँ पोखरामा पनि अब आइन्छ होला इन्ट्रेस्ट छ भने दिसु कि हामीलाई इन्फर्म गर्नुस् मेरो इमेल पनि त्यहाँ छ